That's actually not bad. Oh, you actually put the broiler on?
The broiler. Oh, no, it's no more. The smoke is coming through on the. Just remember to turn it off.
So we are at Daf something or other. Chut Beis on the base. Our goal is to finish the parak tonight. Chut Beis on the base. At the two dots, not two dots, but two dots. At the little base, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines down, approximately. Okay, easy Gemara tonight. Easy and interesting. Yisrael Shalava Me'akum. A Jew who borrowed money from a goy, Vakum Yisrael, or a goy borrowed money from a Jew. Vini's Gayer. And the Jew, the goy was Megayer. Ben Chazakman Achalonis Gayer. Whether they lumped together the principal and the interest before the gerus occurred, ben mishkuz gar, or after the interest occurs, regardless, goves akan v'los ribis. In other words, no matter how the loan is configured, you only collect principal, no interest. Okay, interest, you don't collect interest on the loan.
I thought something refers to like a collection account.
Yeah, but at that point, what it does is the attempt to make principal and interest one conglomerate entity. Okay? So, you're right, it is a collection there, but that's when you would think it might become one conglomerate entity. It does not. Okay? Gravis Kremlos Rivers, you only collect the principal, not the rivers. Now, there's a whole line missing here from the Gemara, which is in the Escorial, so I'll read you what the Escorial says. Divi Rabbi Meir. That whole statement was a Rabbi Meir statement. But don't bother to look for this, you won't find it. Rabbi Yosef says, Yisrael Shalava, but it isn't a Tosefta. If you had a Tosefta, you'd see it. Rabbi Yosef says, it depends. Yisrael Shalava Minagoy, if a Jew borrowed money from a goy, then he's Gayer, and then the goy who loaned the money, who was the lender, was Megayer. Ben Shazagnav Achloni's Gayer. If let's use your word, if a collection attempt was made before the gerus, or it was made afterwards, then then you can only collect the principal, not the ribis. Now, continuing back in the Gemara where we have it. Avol, however, according to Rabbi Yossi, Akum Shalovam Yisrael, if a goy borrowed money from a Jew, then he's Gayer, and the goy was then Megayer, then it depends, Imachaloni's Gayer, if before the gerus took place, Zakfan Alabim, Milveh, you already attempted to collect, Goyva Keren Varibis, then the ribis can be collected. Mishnah is Gayer, if, however, only after the gerus occurred, Yisrael attempted to collect from this ger, Goyva Keren below ribis, only then do we limit him and say only the principal and not the ribis. So the case which he argues about with Rabbi Meir, it's a case where a goy borrowed from Yisrael, and before the gerus, a collection attempt was made by the Yisrael against the goy. According to Rabbi Meir, you still can only collect principal after the gerus occurs, not the interest. According to Rabbi Yosef, since you still attempted to collect before the gerus occurred, so then even after the gerus occurred, you can still collect from this ger, the principal plus the ribis. Bakapora says, goy v'sakeren v'saribis. No matter what, when a goy is in a gayer, you collect from this. You collect. You do something like this is kind of, yeah. You collect from both the keren and the ribis. Why? Time of the Bakapora, reason Bakapora is became a child mavrichom in a ribis. If you let people get out of paying interest, next thing you know, afu naseker sheker. A whole bunch of people are going to be Megayer in order to avoid paying Jews the ribis they owe them. So therefore, in order to prevent these gerus shekers, we say, oh, you want to be Megayer, fine, but they won't get out of paying the interest.
You think they'd be really smart enough to figure that out? Think about this.
Yeah.
Just think, the more worried about gerus sheker,
right?
As if Bezdin's going to accept them. You know, they're going to come in, they're going to rush in Bezdin and say, oh yeah, we know you have lots of loans, but we'll accept your gerus as if, like, the Gemara's talking as if there's no process of gerus, as if the guy decides on his own, just going to be a ger, just like that. That's weird. not the way we know Gerus today.
He won't be basing this to say if access to his balance sheet. You know, the basis knows what he owes and doesn't know.
I understand, but there is, it's not a frivolous process, and that sounds like,
No. I don't buy that. No, don't buy the complaint. Because that's in my own mistake. You think that Rabbi Schwartz asked for your 1040 before his Magari?
The point is, although I don't necessarily know who's Gerus. Those days, towns were smaller. If somebody's being Magayer, people knew about it.
No. All right. Okay, so kasha. A minor one. Going to leave it to this. Okay. Says a little further. Love Adam be with nice of a person can borrow money from his sons and daughters beribis and pay them interest, or vice versa, collect interest from them. Because it's really a chinuch issue. In other words, a chinuch issue, you want to teach your children how bad ribis is, so then you give them or take from them ribis, and it's not really, since they're your sons and daughters, it's not really true ribis, because obviously you own it all anyway, right? It's just it's a moot point. Amar Rab took it a step further. He said, however, going on the Rabbi Chana Lee with their cousins, even to that extent they're allowed to do it. And the way he's doing it is obviously not because of chinuch, but rather because when they give to each other, they give to each other as a true gift, not as interest on the loan. There's a head also something loan to loan and lend to lend and loan beribis, because they do it as gifts, not as interest on the loan. Says the Gemara, a person should not borrow money of a shekel and then loan it for a selah. It means it's like this, according to the Ramban, one of the Rishonim, Lieberman quotes it. It says here, you can't borrow money from another. You borrow money from Jew number one, right? Jew number one gives you a shekel, which is $50, and you loan it out to Jew number two for $1, right? And then you're going to collect that $1 from Jew number two, right, and give it back to Jew number one. So in essence, it's just rivets to a middleman, right? So rivets to a middleman is no good. You can't do that. But if and the truth is that there's a little bit not. I think there's a Rashi somewhere. I didn't look it up. It just occurred to me now. It's a Rashi somewhere. It says that rivets shliach might be a heter because it ain't shliach l'gar avera. So actually, there might be a question for the Yerushalmi on that sheet of Rashi. But anyway, here it's about here it says that it is also you can't take a shekel from one guy and loan it out to the other guy in order as a selah, in order to get a selah, because it's basically just ribs through a middleman. But with a goy, that's okay. This where it's a goy, love a shekel mava b'selah. So this is talking about when the Yisrael loans the Yisrael a shekel, and the Yisrael number two loans to a goy on the condition that shekel, on the condition that he gets back a selah, and from the goy it's going to give it to the first Yisrael. Then that it's also that's the first case, because in essence that's true even if the well, actually the Gemara is going to explain it. Why do I have to explain it? What I was about to say. Yisrael lova me'akum. Oh no, the Gemara doesn't explain it. I'll explain. The case where Rabban learns the first case, Le'adam leve b'shekel mave b'sela, is talking about where there is a goy as well. In other words, Jew number one loans to Jew number two, and Jew number two loans to a goy. That's awesome, because even when the goy gives back more money to Jew number two, to Jew number one, and that transfers to Jew number. No, I'm confused.
Goy gives to Jew number two, who gives it to
right, the Jew number two gives to Jew number one, so that's going to be a problem.
That's similar to what
we had it last night, yeah, a similar case. However, if Akum love it, B'shekel, Ma'abasel, in other words, if a goy is the guy in the middle, right, Jew number one gives to a goy, and the goy gives to another Yisrael, right, one to goy to two back to goy to Jew, that would be okay? Because in that case, it's the goy who contract with the original Yisrael, which is basically the same case we had last night, right? Yisrael lova ma'akum ba'akum Yisrael. What are we cooking?
Well, I see it's starting to smoke, so I turned it off.
Okay, good. They probably have not used it in a long time. Yisrael lova ma'akum. a goy borrowed money from a Jew borrowed money from a goy, and a goy borrowed money from a Jew, which is similar to the case of Sapa. We're going off on a tangent. Yisrael nasa alo orev. A goy can become, a Jew can become a guarantor for a loan where it's Jew number one, goy Jew number two. So another Jew can become a guarantor for Jew number two. Eventually Ribbis is going to get back to the Jew number one. Doesn't matter, right? Right? So in this case, even though he's guaranteeing the loan for the Jew number one, the guarantor is also okay in this case as well. I'm not sure there's a chiddush, to be honest with you. I mean, if the loan itself is mutter, then certainly be an orev to be a guarantor is mutter, but I don't know. For some reason, we hold that.
You can look at the orev thing is a separate loan transaction aside from the initial loan transaction. He's because he ended up like Jew is paying a Jew ribbis. I don't know, just
Okay.
It's coming down the bottom. Obviously, it's the other.
Okay. Says no further. Yisrael Shemina Akum Apotropa. If a guy was appointed, a Jew was appointed by a guy. It's tricky here. It's really like Yisrael Shemina Akum. A Jew was appointed by a guy as an Apotropa, as a. There's a fire alarm here. I'm a little nervous about that. Maybe we should close the door so it dissipates. Anyway, let's go on. Yisrael Shemina Akum Apotropa. Yisrael was appointed by a guy to be an Apotropa or santer, means that he's going to be the designated manager of, like the santer is appointed. Somebody's in charge. I like a senator, trustee.
Apotropa is just for a minor, but a santer could be for.
Is it more major? Right. He's his banker. So Akum the Yisrael is appointed by the goy to be the banker. In other words, the goy provides the funds, the Jew is doing the banking, right? Mutzav asay ribbis, you can borrow money from that Jew for ribbis, because that Jew is just you're extending you the funds of the goy. That's okay. Okay, but now this is different than the case we had before, because the case we had before where the Jew was in the middle, the Jew becomes the lender. But here the Jew, even though the Jew's in the middle, since he's only an apotropos or a santer, it's not an issue. Okay. Va'akum Shemina Yisrael, vice versa. If a guy is appointed by a Jew to be an apotrop or a santer, also you can't borrow money and interest from him, because obviously he's extending a Jew's money. So you have a Jewish bank with a Goyish loan officer, you can't transact with the transaction with him nonetheless. Okay? Most Yisrael Shemim V'Kodim Biyad Akum, if the money of a Jew is given over as a deposit in the hands of a goy, even though the money originally came from a Jew, as a deposit in the hands of a goy, it becomes the goy's jurisdiction, and therefore you can borrow money beribis. Because as long as the Yisrael is responsible for it, also it's forbidden. As long as the goy is responsible for it, mutter, it's forbidden. Okay. Says the Mishnah further. Halach above. Masdisin. One cannot make agreements on fruit to provide them over the course of time until there's a set price which has come out. If, however, one guy is the first guy among the harvesters and already has grain which he has harvested, then he can already make agreements on the pile of grain upon heaps of grapes, and also baskets of olives, on the clay slugs of a potter, a seed, and on plaster once he's already had it settled into his oven. Now, what is the psiko which he's making? What is the pasik? The pasik means that he's setting a price at which he's going to then provide him with delivery throughout the course of the next year or over a course of time, right? In other words, the price is being set now. The price is being paid up front. The delivery is going to occur over time. Obviously, the guy who's doing the selling now is doing the selling as a way of raising cash. And obviously he's going to give a discount because he's getting paid at once for everything, right? So therefore, the psika is advantageous to the buyer because he's getting money, obviously. He's getting the delivery for a price. He's paying less for delivery later on, right? So therefore, this is when can you make this deal? Can't make this deal before there's a. Can't make this deal unless it's set market price. No market price, you can't do it. Okay? So it says the Gemara, or if there's no set market price, you can do it once you have the commodity. What's the point is having the commodity? Having harvested, having created the pile of grapes, the pile of olives. That's already considered possessing the commodity. Once you possess the commodity, then you can make this deal. Okay? So either there's a shiur or the commodity, you have the commodity already. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi, who places Gimor ala Zevel, al Koy Masashon. You can also make a stipulation for it to provide fertilizer for the entire year. Now, of course, that's problematic because fertilizer doesn't exist until the animal produces it, right? You need the manure to exist in order to fertilize it. So it says the Tanakama it doesn't matter. Fertilizer is also considered to be yotza shar. So he has a shar. There's the price of fertilizer. Rabbi Yossi Omer ain't placing zevel achelo zevel bashbos. The fertilizer's got to be real and there in his garbage dumps in order for him to be able to sell it. Chachamim permit this, and the question is how exactly Chachamim argues Rabbi Yossi. Chachamim seems to be matter as long as you have your animals out in the field in the pasture, even you don't actually have the fertilizer yet, but they're productive. So therefore, there will be fertilizer, and then you can ready make the sale. Okay, so Rabbi Yossi Meir holds Tanakama says that you can do it for the entire year, even if your animals are not out in the field right now. Rabbi Yossi says you must actually have the fertilizer. Chachamim say no, as long as you have animals out in the field, you can do it. Okay. Rabbi Yossi says placing makashara gavoa. You make the stipulation according to the high price. The high price means actually what we would call the low price, meaning that you get much more grain for your money. Okay, you can give that according to the shar hagavoa. That you give much fruit for less money, even though later on the price is going to go up. The price is going to go up, and you're going to give less fruit for that same amount of money. But at the beginning of the year, shar hagavoa means people who buy now, when they since precisely because they're going to wait for delivery, are going to get much more fruit later on. So that's poskim over shar gavoa, right? Rabbi Omer, afal pi shelo pasakimo yochel lomar tenli kozeh tenli mosai. Rabbi Yehuda says even though he didn't make the stipulation with him, he could say give me back the money, or give it to me, or give me back the money. Now, I'm not sure what it means now. I look at it again. I'm not sure it means Afa Pishlo Pasakimo. Afa Pishlo Pasakimo. Yachon Artini Kozet Tini Osai. Even though he didn't stipulate that he wants the better price, he can say either later on he can say, "Well, I didn't stipulate outright, but that's what I wanted. So either give me back my money, or give me according to a better price." So that goes for Rabbi Yehuda. That assumption underlies the deal that he's going to get the better price. So I see Pnei Moshe says we don't pass him like Rabbi Yehuda. You have to stipulate the price you want. It has to be a legitimate shar. You have to stipulate. If you don't stipulate, you don't necessarily get the best possible price. It depends what the stipulation was at the time they made the transaction. Okay? A person can loan his sharecroppers wheat for wheat lezera, that to plant the wheat and get back. They're going to plant the wheat and get back. Is going to get back wheat, because then you look at it as if the wheat never went out of existence, because you gave wheat. Put in the ground, and when he raises a crop, it's going to give you back the same wheat. So it's not really looked at as a true loan. But you can't loan him wheat which he's going to eat, because then it's like a true loan, because that wheat which he gets, he's going to eat, consume, and he's going to give you back other wheat. And in the meantime, the price might go up. So it's a little bit of a kula, it's a big kula actually, that we let you loan wheat for a wheat when the wheat you're giving is for planting. Going to raise other wheat, but not when the wheat you're giving is for eating. Gamliel used to loan his sharecroppers wheat. It was biyoker behuzlu, and if they were expensive, he used to give it to them, and then they went down in price. Or bezovu kira, they were inexpensive when he gave it to them, and they went down in price. But notam ekshasa, so he would only take from them either the corresponding wheat or the value was at a time. At the lower time, whenever that was, either the beginning of the transaction or the end of the transaction. Lo shalocha kid, it's not that lochas like that. You can take back the wheat, even if you gave him the wheat at a low price, and now the wheat when it's harvested is a high price, you can take it back. But Gamliel's Machman himself, they would never make a profit on the wheat which you loaned out. He'd only take back the wheat according to the lower price, the lowest prevailing price. Okay, Ma'aliv Sok B'Shar Shel Sidki. Ask more, can we make a subsika, this agreement, to deliver later on when the shar is only a shar of sidki? The shar of sidki is a time when people come occasionally to deal, but there isn't a set market already, a commodity. Let's say it's very early, and some people are ready bringing wheat into the city, but it's not a completely present in the market that everybody can buy and sell it at this point. So it's machlokas. Rabbi Yochanan Poskin says you can. Rabbi Shlokish Amayim Poskin says you cannot. Rabbi Bar Chia Boykum Rabbi Zeira. Rabbi Bar Chia asked for Rabbi Zeira. Lo mistabra the Yoder Shlokish Rabbi Yochanan B'Shar Shel Tziporin. Does it not make sense? Rabbi Shlokish will concede to Rabbi Yochanan by the shar of Tziporin. By the shar of Tziporin. Why She'enapol Sekas? It's not done to sputter, even when they have a very early milk price, because it's not fully on the market yet, but there's a constant flow of goods into the city. So therefore, even at very early market price, it can't persist, meaning that of course it'll fluctuate, but there's no interruption in supply from that point on. So even Shlokish would agree that since there's no interruption in supply from that point on, you can make the agreement, the stipulation at that point in time. Okay? So, that's true, but he does call the shar siki for something. Okay, you're right. It's not a classic shar siki, which is why Rish Lakish would concede. On Rabun Barkana said, turn the page. The Tema, no, I'm in astonishment. Eich Rabbana Plige. Now, how Rabbana draw a distinction? The next word, I'm going to read it like the Shaitor Yisrael reads it, which is in a frame, which makes more sense. So it's going to require changing a few words. Instead of Bain, Im. And it should be im posek ala mos mutar, the posek ala malve also. You don't have that, but that's the way the shirt is so more or less scale in front of it. It means, what difference does it make if I give him money? There's a classic question about as well. When I make the stipulation, halacha states that I have to give him money and say, listen, Yaakov, here's $10,000. You deliver me grain over the course of the next year according to the $10 a bushel price, right? But you must give him money. Money must change hands. If Yaakov owes me $10,000, I can't say to him, take that money of the loan I'm giving you on your ledger those $10,000 as the payment of the grain over the next 12 months. There's got to actually be cash exchanging hands. The writing off of a loan cannot substitute for the exchange in hands. Okay, so that's the question. Why must you have, what's the difference between Pesach al Mos, which is okay, and Pesach al Malva is awesome? So Rabbi Yirmiyah, second line, Rabbi Yirmiyah says, B'malva is pleading. The truth is, even by Malva, those who are matir. In other words, that perhaps the buyer can buy based on the line of credit which he already has. However, it's a big mistake. If you do give cash in the situation as the base of the transaction, everybody agrees it should be shemuter, that's okay. Because cash already cements the deal. Rabbi Yisrael says, no, Pisuk is power good. Even if you're going to set the price based, you're going to do the transaction based on transfer of actual cash, it's a machlokes. But if you do it based on a loan and those transfer of cash, everybody can see that it should be she'osr. Then in that case, it's forbidden. And here we have to insert more from later on, according to Shartar Yisrael. And of course, right, look at the very bottom, 3 lines on the bottom actually. It says, V'tani came. We also learned this. Hayachayev lomos. If somebody owed you money, Uval lito imenu begorin. And you're going to want to take the money back when the silos are full of grain to buy. V'amar and the borrower said, Asema like Kashar Shabashuk. I tell you what, make it like the price in the marketplace. Vani elocho that I owe you based on the amount of bushels per dollar now. Vani elocho koshnemasar chodesh, and I'll give it to you over the next 12 months. Also, it's forbidden. Why is that? The Gemara said the top of Chavdal and Rav, the low kisara aboliado. It's not like having cash. And the principle is not discussed really in the Bible. It was discussed in great detail in Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi says, you know why you can't make a transaction? Bible says, I'm sorry, it's not discussed in detail in Yerushalmi, it's discussed in Bible. Why do you need to have the money change hands? Because in that case, if the buyer has given the seller money, even if the seller does not himself have wheat, he can go out and buy wheat with this, because it's a shard. So Afal Pishain Lazeh Yesh Lazeh. Even though he doesn't have, somebody else will have, and he'll go to that person and buy the wheat from him and then provide it, deliver it to his purchaser. So that's why the money is as if he bought the wheat. Why? Because since the money gives the seller the power to go out and buy the wheat, it's as if he bought the wheat itself. There is a tzad therefore in the Bible to say that if you are writing off a loan as the purchase price, it would work in a case where the seller actually has the grain. Because in that, you need either one of them. Either that the buyer pays cash, and therefore the seller could go out and buy the grain even if he doesn't have it, or that the seller does have the grain. And even if the buyer buys on credit, that would still be okay under those circumstances. Okay? But the Yerushalmi doesn't go much further. Yerushalmi just states here that you cannot initially buy on credit wheat from an individual who makes a stipulation to you according to the current price if he doesn't actually possess the wheat. Okay?
So then what about the concept of futures, buying of futures? You're paying money on
well, it might work, but that's because you're giving the money and there is wheat to buy somewhere. You have to say, no.
It's not until
So Taka will work in a Hanami. That cannot work. Right, you have to be that there is wheat to buy somewhere today. Okay, says the Gemara Vaita. The very Rabbi Yana, back to Chav Gimel and base 5 lines at the top. Very Rabbi Yana, Petzkin al Shachas. Once the food, the crop is going to the field to the height of animal fodder, which is 1/3 of its growth, you can already make psika. We passing that way. This would be actually harvesting. Rabbi Yisrael also on loaves of honeycomb. Possibly either. It's got to be harvesting. Rabbi Yechemar, Kol Ayeros Asmuch Tveria, all the cities which are adjacent to Tveria, Kamechos or Shar Shel Tveria placement, they're all subject to the Shar and Tveria. So if there's commodity exchange in one of the major cities, that sets the tone for all the cities in the environments. If he has started harvesting, and this is where there is no sharness yet, but he started harvesting, placing of the already makes stipulation on the asylum. Rav said, if you're one maisa before marketing, you're just one, like let's say the last thing before marketing is you rinse your grain. Obviously it's not, but let's say it was. So then, even if you haven't rinsed it yet, but that's the next step before the penultimate step before the marketing. So then at that point already it's considered to be poison, right? But not before that. It's earlier down in the processing. Rabbi Yoel, they both said, even if it's nowhere near ready yet, you can still make stipulation. And our Mishnah is a Rav, because our Mishnah is right after harvest. After harvest is missing many steps, right? Threshing, winnowing, all the Hilchos Shabbos, which have to do with it, are still missing, right? So therefore, you see that Rav and our Mishnah don't see eye to eye. Abba Bar Zmina gave a certain amount of money to a kfela. I always thought was a butcher, but here it says it's a baker. Anyway, the idea is the same. Nasim Mena B'Shaz Lila, he bought at a low price. That's what our Mishnah calls Shar Gavoa, right? When you can get more for your buck, right? Here it's called the cheap price. The same idea. He bought for him on the Chol Shaita, everything for the entire year. For Lo Modi Rav. Rav wasn't Moida, because there are many steps missing until whatever it was makes it to market. If it's bread, like he says, a baker, so then he's buying, flour right now. There are many steps missing. You couldn't set a stipulation for the entire year. And certainly if it's meat, like I thought it was, then you can't set it because the cows are nowhere yet slaughtered. Okay, in any event, Rav didn't concede on the point because missing several maisim. Rav Barzmina holds that even missing several maisim, you can do that. I think we do paskin like Rav Barzmina in this case. Rav Chia ruled, though it's up or down the Bali, but I think that's the idea. Rav Chia ruled, Rav Chia the Great, Havle Kita. This is he had linen. Asu Chamrai Mismin Aminei. So the donkey drivers came and they wanted to buy it from him, and they were going to sell it elsewhere. Amrlo, so he said to him, Leis Pedaitim Zabanta Kidon. I didn't want to sell it now. El Bupuraya. I wanted to sell it on Purim. Amrulay, so they said to him, when it's much more expensive. Amrlo said, Le Zavnas Loch Kidain, Madasi Mizavna Puraya. Sell to us now for whatever you would charge on Purim. He didn't pay right away or whatever. Also, Shah Rabbi Lev, Rabbi, he came and asked Rabbi, what's the status? Armalei also, he said, Rebbe said it's forbidden. And Novak Rebbe Chia went out, called Masis to put into a brisa. Now, this is a case which actually the Bavli has, it's called Tarshat Rav Nachman, I believe. And the Bavli, the Maraponi brings it down. Maybe it's just Tarsha. Anyway, the case over there is a case where there is interest. There is interest. Because they're saying what they're doing is they're taking the grain now, which is at lower price. They're going to go and take it, and they're going to give the higher price to him at Purim time, but they're buying it now, right? So in this case, the logic to be matir, whoever was speaking here, is logic of Aruba had to be matir was to say that, well, they're going to be marviach too. I'll be marviach, but they'll be marviach. I'll be marviach. They're going to give you the more expensive price, but they'll be marviach, and that they're going to make more money because I assume whenever they're taking it, they're going to they're going to sell right away or shortly thereafter, make cash, which is important to them. So therefore, I'm getting a benefit and they're getting a benefit. So there shouldn't be a problem, right? Because everybody's benefiting all around. So nevertheless, it's also because it's a form of ribbons. Why? Because you are because you are extending to them credit, they're paying you more money later on. They're giving you up. They're going to give you whenever they pay you back. Might not necessarily be a rate all the way to Purim. Whenever they pay you back, they're going to pay you back more than you gave them.
So it's like the KCS last night of the apples that were going to be transported to New York.
Right, it's a similar case, except here, it's a similar case. So this one could say, but here the Gemara does hold its own over here. Now again, as I said, the Marapayim brings down the case in the Gemara in the Bible. There's whole machlokas had a paskin. So he says, of course, those who paskin land kula in such a case, tarsha, where both the buyer and the seller will make money, are going to run afoul of our Gemara, where even though both the buyer and the seller are going to make money by taking the fruit and selling it before Purim, right? Before the final due date. Nevertheless, since there's a time element here, so it's still be an issue of interest. Okay? Okay, so says more further, top of Chavdal now, because we read that already. Amar Rav. Rav said, my Reb Chia Chabibi, Reb Chia by my uncle agrees. It should be the ilu. The ilu yavin is the way this correlates. The ilu yavin lay. Had you given money immediately to an individual? Now this is talking about. Remember, Reb Chia's case is the case with the case of the linen, right? So he wanted to get the look. He was willing to give the linen to the salesmen, to the donkey drivers now, for them to go sell wherever they want, but he wanted to get the Purim price, right? So Rabbi said it's no good, you can't do that. So I'm a Rav said, my uncle agrees, if you gave it to an individual and he acquired it immediately, shari, that's permissible. Now, that means that if you had a case where I gave if they gave it right, if the kinderate took place, still not sure what I have to do with the previous case. The previous case is about a case where the donkey drivers come to me and say, we'll buy your grain now, we'll pay you later on whatever price we've got it for it. We'll take your grain now, I'll pay you later for it. Yeah, okay. We'll take your grain now, and we'll give you the Purim price, right? He wanted to be matter because the tarish was everybody gains. The Gemara says it's awesome, right? But if the transaction is immediate, meaning that there's immediate delivery of the grain now, right? And they say, okay, we're buying it from you right now for $100 a bushel, even though the price now is only $50 a bushel. But we're buying it from you right now. We're making the Mashiach and buying it right now, and it's okay for them to everything will be clear in a moment. The Gemara explains itself. Rabbi Chia Chavivi, Moed Rabbi Chia Chavivi, the ilu yoivin lebekonim kfar shar, meaning agram in kfar. If I pay you today, even though the kana b'sar came, even though I only get delivery later down the line later this year, shari, that's okay. That's permitted. That case of Tarshan Chav Gimel and Beis, which Rabbi Chia was asked to do by Rebbe, that's a case punkt verkehrt. The exact opposite. Kana mikvar, if they got delivery on the grain now. But agra mi basar kain, they're only going to pay later, and that's also. Because these donkey drivers, they got the grain today. And they're expected to pay later down in the year, Purim prices. That's Rebbe's. Looks like Rebbe's in Chazal Asr. Again, what Chazal permit is paying money today, where there's either a shiur or the guy does have grain, and then getting the grain later on. That looks like a valid transaction. That's okay. But in a case where the opposite has occurred, they're getting the grain today and paying money later on, that looks like Rebbe's.
So they're buying it on credit.
They're buying on credit. That's basically what we're trying to say, yes. Buying credit is no good. You got it. You put it as much more simply than I could. Buying on credit is no good. What's good is to buy and not yet take delivery, because then it's the seller who's getting credit from you on the sale, not on the money. Right.
So all buying on credit is not allowed, or just
it's all also. Yeah, because the price might go up, even if the price doesn't actually go up. It's all awesome.
So what if the price goes up, but you still only...
Unless you set a price.
Yeah.
Unless you set a price, yes. And the price was the price at the time of the initial transaction. Yeah. That'll be okay. All right? Now, in Yonah the Yoima Mamish serendipity that we're a month and a half behind. Actually, I don't know if we're that far behind. Rabbi Lezer Yoiv Dina L'char Bar Nasher. Rabbi Lezer gave money to a certain individual. Amalei said, Ma'di'inun avdin mikan, whatever you can make with this money from here ad Chanukah. And we had it earlier in Bava Kama. Bava Kama, which says if you're passing a store, and there's no Chanukah outside. So, but this is one of the very rare occurrences. It's not in the Bible in the studio. So it's all about coincidence. So he gave him $1. Now, the truth is, initially I thought, like Lieberman, that the dollar is the investment amount. But now I realize it's not necessarily true. It could be the dinar was what he paid him as an agent. He gave him $100. And he paid him $1 to be his agent and said, this is an investment, right? Whatever it makes from here, from now till Hanukkah, let's say it was Sukkot, from now till Hanukkah, Didi, and there's a critical word meaning with through everybody, missing here, which through everybody ride, it's in the Escorial, Didi v'didoch. We split it halfway. It says here only Didi, but it's got to be Didi v'didoch. So whatever it makes till Hanukkah, we split halfway. Whatever proceeds there are. Mitamanu la'alon, from after Hanukkah, then whatever proceeds are, it's my principle. Remember, it's my principle, right? So until Hanukkah, we split the proceeds. After Hanukkah, afterwards, you get all the proceeds. Eventually, you'll have to pay me back the principal, but after Hanukkah, you get all the proceeds. So, whatever happens afterwards, if it goes up or goes down, it's yours. So Hanukkah came, and after Hanukkah, he wanted to give him half of the proceeds till Hanukkah, right? Because that was the deal. The agent wanted to give him half the proceeds till Hanukkah. So it says the Gemara, the low kibil, Rabbi Lezer would not accept it. Even though that was the original condition, he did tshuva, he didn't accept it. Why is that? Rabbi Lezer was afraid that what he did is called Karl L'Schav Arochok Lehepsei. Even though he paid a symbolic amount, $1 or whatever it was, a dinar, but nevertheless, he was much more likely to gain than to lose. Because, he's only splitting the profits of Hanukkah. Afterwards, it's completely in the head of the loan that the agent is borrowing in order to make money with, right? And B, he's stipulating that, so therefore basically what he's saying is, if it was for the entire duration, half and half, and it was an investment for the entire time, so then it would be okay. But here he only made an investment for a part of the time. The rest of the time he made it a loan. So one could say, look at it and say, well, because the person who's working, because he's going to get a loan after Hanukkah, that's why he's willing to split up the proceeds until Hanukkah. So that might be a form of ribbis. likely that Rebbe Lezer will. Rebbe Lezer is limited his risk. I guess that's what I want to say, because his risk is only till Hanukkah. Yet the life of the loan is much longer. If you accept the risk throughout the life of the loan, then it could be considered investment. But you don't accept that limited liability, so it's more of a loan with interest attached than it is an investment. That's what it says here. The Tarek, we also learned in the Brisa. Karel V'Schavro left said, if it's more likely you will make money than lose money, Zu Midas Rishoyim. That's what Rishoyim do. That's ribis. You have to be having, in order to be considered a true investment, when you're investing the principal and not the other guy. Obviously, if you both invest principal, then you're both investors, right? But if you're investing the principal, you're the capital, he's the brains, right? But a make an investment is only if you share equally in potential gains and potential losses, right? So if, however, you've got ensured you're going to get more possibility of gain, zoom in extra short. Vice versa, if it's more likely you lose and less likely you'll gain, zoom in as tzaddikim. That's what tzaddikim do. Karav Lezeh 50-50, or Rav equally close, Rav Lezeh equally distant, zoom in as and that's the way normal people conduct their business.
What about the concept of the Shalom Tino Velas Lifnei?
So why? You can't do rivers in order to Shalom Tino Velas Lifnei Lovin. Won't help. Doesn't help. I mean, this is the better basis of Heteriska, though. The Heteriska is that we make it into a investment. We say that they divide up, the way Heteriska works is it says that you divide up equally the losses and gains. By the way, the Bible has all sorts of cases, like you set upon yourself, if you want to get half of the losses, you set upon yourself 2/3 of the potential, but when you want to get half of the gains, set by yourself 2/3 of potential losses, that's okay. So as long as your percentages are higher for the loss than the risk for gain, that's the Bavli. Another potential at the Bavli is, of course, we learned in Yerushalmi as well. You give a little bit of a payment, something more than token payment to the person who's working on their behalf. So he's getting paid, so that makes him an agent. So there are other ways of getting around it. But in any event, what Heteriska does, it makes it a true investment, which is the catch. Makes it almost impossible to prove a loss. And that way, it's not worth it for the guy who took out a loan from you, quote unquote, is your an investment agent, to go to the rigmarole to prove that he actually had a loss. This thing, Shvua, brings, special testimony. So therefore, it's much more likely he's going to want to avoid having to go to all those lengths, and rather would give you the interest, especially out at their school. Okay, says Gemara, Rabbi Yitzchak Yortin on the Barnash. Yitzchak gave money to a certain individual. Ba me'abel Rabbi Lezer wanted to do this like Rabbi Lezer, but again he too v'lo kibel, in the end he didn't accept it upon himself. I think it's that he himself reneged on the deal. Kana Yav Arboim Dinar the Barnash. There was a case. She told us a similar case in the Bali. Rav Kana gave $40 to a person, recently a kitten to buy him linen. A cure kitten in the end, so he didn't yet buy the linen, and the price of linen went up. So he wants to know if he can get the linen. Mizmalayim actually means to sell. I said to buy from him means to sell him. So says the Gemara, Asa Shol Rabbi came to ask Rav what to do. He said, Ezel Sami now, blind Kurin Rabbi, take the best and most linen you can get. So he actually told him, yes, since you paid for it already, even though the price goes up, you can take delivery. But the catch is you can only take delivery of what? Of linen. You can't take the monetary equivalent of what the linen is. Because obviously in that case, you gave true ribbons. Because you gave less, you gave more, and it's money. So that's, you paid cash, you get back the maximum amount of linen, but not any other commodity. Okay? Says the Gemara, Bikish Rebbe Lahacha Kluto, it should be Sheliyam. Lezer wanted to be matir, literally means the absorption of the sea. Rabbi Yossi is not allowed to, so what it is, we'll see in a minute. These months, some say Rabbi Yossi wanted to allow the absorption of the sea. Rebbe did not allow. My Kito Shayam, what's Kito Shayam? Bar Nashti Yoav L'Chavrei, it's an individual gives to his friend. It should be Meh Dinarin, and there's a whole piece missing here, which is in the Skorial. But let me tell you outside for the Skorial. With sea going, merch Kuto Shiyam means people are going to be absorbed to sea, people going on long sea voyages. So you want to invest in the sea voyage. So you say, I want to invest in the sea voyage, but I want to get back a fixed rate of return. So I'll invest $100, I want $120 back. Now, that should be rivets, right? So the way it works is that he says he wants to get around by saying like this. The investor says, I just want $20. If it's less than $20, it's your problem. If it's more than $20, it's your revach. So he's trying to make it that he's also potential, he's ignoring an advantage you could have had. Now, it's not percentage, it's a flat fee, $20 no matter what. So I might have been minded of that, because it's not, I would say it's not rivets, because it was rivets, so then it should be a flat fee, it should be a percentage, right? But never the flat fee might be, it should be okay, so the Gemara says no, flat fees are not okay. So and it says here, person gets 100 denarim, and Omar, it should say here, Omar lays from the Escorial, Yavli Esrin dinar. My take should be $20. In person, if it's less, Yidach, it's your problem. In other city, if it's more, Yidach, it's your advantage. Avdu Mishol Shneihem, they both lose. Why? Because that's a form of ribis. Now, it's not really a form of ribis, because it's an investment, right? And the $20 is really very similar to our heter iska, because the $20 is in lieu of making a precise cheshbon. And our heter iska do the same way. We give a certain percentage as interest in lieu of making exact cheshbon. But it's really as if it was an investment. But here, the Gemara is not matured. Why? Because obviously in this case, the individual does not specify that he will share in the loss. It's not sufficient. Our heter iska we say, I will share in the loss. Since you got to prove the loss, and the way for you to prove the loss is technically almost impossible. But you have to share in the loss. So that's why this is not permitted. Okay? Says the Gemara, a new case. Kagon Elaine. However, guys such as those who Elaine, who give merchandise to Elaine, the Marbashir should be Lehman says Lenisin. People go island. There's not long sea distance. Short hops, right? The cypress back, right? So there they had a different arrangement. In that case, the guy who has the barabas, who has the goods, he says, listen, what I want you to do when you get there is mitartin kubsustan or mishlosha kubsustan. There, things sell for more expensive. What's here is, let's say, 5 measures. Let's say expensive, but here's, let's say, 5 measures $1. There, it's 2 or 3 measures $1, right? So I want to make a profit, right? And he doesn't say how much in profit exactly he wants to make, but I want to make a profit. The truth is, however, the agents are also going to make a profit in this case. There was no stipulation here of rivets, right? Just understood that there's going to be greater profits. I should get a share of the profits. In this case, it's considered to be okay. And the Gemara calls it tarsha, which means silent rivets. In other words, yes, rivers taking place, but it's silent. It's not stipulated, right? It's just an understanding that there, I go to the guy and say, there the price is higher, right? So that's going to give me an opening to get something back. That's considered to be okay. I'm not sure I exactly understand that case, but that's what it says here. Ain't to ribis, it's not to be interest trosha, silent ribis, literally deaf, mute ribis, and that's why it's okay. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Elazar ben Asai, this came back to the fertilizer. Rabbi Yossi, our Mishnah says you must have fertilizer in a specific location in order to sell it. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Shnei Amar Mudav, they both say the same thing. The Tiyadah we learned over there in Shemitah. Vayel Davar Muat Mosif Levach. The mice you can't fertilize here. But fertilize over the field because the field to grow, which is the sort of planting for Shemitah. So according to Tanakama, you have to have a little pile and then merciful of harbe. Oh, look, you could add much more fertilizer to that pile. Elizabeth says, no, it's also until you make the pile distinct. tefachim deeper than the rest of the ground, or you put it on a rock. Until then, it's also. So from this, we see that he holds like Rabbi Yossi. You have to have a collection of zevel in order to indicate that it's zevel, not zevel to sell, not zevel to fertilize your field. And so too over here, you have to have a significant amount together in order to sell to somebody else. Okay, I'm almost finished. A person says to his friend, Aveni kur chitim, loan me a measure of wheat. Vani no sin l'chom I'm going to give you from my silo later on in the year. That's called havas sa'ah b'sa'ah. And it's forbidden because the sa'ah, the measure of grain, might go up in price, and therefore you're giving ribbis. You could say, if you have it home, I'm loaning it until my son comes. Until I find the key. Because in that case, you're not really loaning, borrowing. You're really being mocked immediately back. It's just lending is where there's some time lag. But here there's no time lag because Lamaisa, you're already committing them the stuff you have in your house immediately. Just that you have to, wherever you are, need the grain. Okay? Says the Gemara, Hillel says, Hillel says like this. Viloiser, I'm sorry, the word at the bottom I misread. Viloiser. Hillel says no, even this case is prohibited. What Hillel is for prohibiting, we'll see in the Gemara. But Hillel is prohibiting in this case. It says, Hillel said, even for a short time period of time, lo tilva isha kikar l'chaverta, it's amazing chumrah. You can't loan a loaf of bread to your friend until you evaluate its exact worth. Because you can't loan saw the saw, because the next loaf might be worth more. So you have to evaluate its value. Okay? Shemi Okiru made it go up in price. The wheat, Venimsis, both rivers would be a case of rivers. Says my Father, Lord, a person can say to his friend, Haveni kur chatim, loan me a measure of wheat. And I'll give it to you at the harvest, which is much later. But it sounds like if I just do for 2 or 3 weeks, it's okay. It's a long period, it might fluctuate, but a short period, it's not going to fluctuate. And that, the Gemara explains, that's what he'll answer. He'll answer even for 2 or 3 weeks. You can't borrow an egg from your neighbor for a week without actually reckoning the price of an egg. And nobody's mad though. But I'm reckoning the price of eggs and making the price alone as opposed to the egg itself. Amr Shmuel said, Allah kill, Allah is not going to kill. This is very machmer. Okay? Mishnah, halaches. I'm a person said, Mr. Zuhil, you knock the door, so set off the alarm at this point. I'm a thank you. Person says to his friend, Nakishimi, hoe with me, weed with me today. If I nakishimach, I'll weed with you another time. Even if they might not weed the exact times, they don't have to stand with stop clocks and make it, precise. Even if I weed you for an hour and you weed with me for 2 hours later, it's not going to be rivers. Okay, because time of the weeding, right? That doesn't make it rivers. It doesn't make it rivers. Okay. Adoring me, hoe with me, but adoring mach, and I'll hoe with you. However, this you shouldn't say, make it explicit. Adoring me, vanaki shimcha, do a hoe with me today, and I'll weed with you. Calling me great echad. All the days, all one summer day, calling me via achas, or all one winter day. In other words, in that case, you mentioned the length of the days. That already looks like this, because the days have different lengths in the summer and the winter. Yesh, Rabbi Yerushalmi Omer. Yesh ribis mukdamis, yesh ribis sucheres. There's early ribis and late ribis. Kates and also. Nasa evelosim, and I know I want to borrow a few money. Hamishalech lo. So I sent you presents. Or I said vishvil shet yaveni, because you're going to loan me money. Zuribis mukdamis, that's early ribis. Love man, on the other hand, if I borrow money for him, and he came back to the loan, and then I sent you a gift, because I had your money by me, your ribis mucheres, that's late ribis, and that's also as well. Okay? Rabbi Shimon Omer,
what about Thomas and Noah? Isn't that...
That's ribis too? I didn't think ribis were anything. Yesh ribbis, but there's verbal ribbis. Lo yomer lo da im ba ish plenty mokum plenty. A blender can't say to borrower, go check if so-and-so came from so-and-so place, because then he's going to be doing a favor as ribbis on the loan, right? Eloi lo says these people transgress. Amal that the lender got cold, but the lender. Do you want to close again? It's okay. Well, Amal that the lender, Valoiv, and the borrower are already the guarantor of aiding the witnesses. Chomri and Chom say have a sefer so to describe. Or about titain they transgress giving ribbis, about tikach taking ribbis, talkim taking ribbis, vatil knosha do not be like a lender, valot simul of nesha, and on the creation literally means placement, but the creation of a ribbis loan. Belief neighbor lo tite mirsho, beresim elkechni Hashem, all these things they transgress, the true evildoers. Rabbi Yasser comes and says, Bore kamasamus ene malva ribbis, see how blind the usurers are. A person calls his friend, if I called you an Aviv Abadazar, Megala Arias, or I called you a Noyef, the Shrevach Damim, I called you a murderer, Vagish Lori to Mochav, you want to start fighting with me, it's going to come down with me and fight the duel. But in this case, on the contrary, case of Rivis, Haloy Secher Eidim, the guy hires witnesses to sign a document, and the soifer, and he hires the soifer and says to him, come, the lenders will say, come and testify about me that I'm an apikoiris. Why is it an apikoiris? Because somebody who loans money and interest denies denies the Kodesh Baruch because Hashem said not to, and he by doing this it says Ani Hashem specifically by ribbis, so he's denying Hashem. Hashem you're more than that. You're more than denying Hashem, which could say about many mitzvahs. They're koifer this way. Shows the Torah plasterin. He makes the Torah into some plaster, which means some political philosophy or financial policy. That's Moshe Tipesh, and they make Moshe stupid. For him, they say, oh, that Moshe, he didn't know how to run an economy. For Moshe to know how much money we can make by charging interest, he wouldn't have written the Yisr in the Torah. So they make Moshe into a naive fellow who didn't realize that interest is where it's at. Right? Ribbis is very difficult. Shapat Tova ribbis, even doing a favor is a ribbis. Like we learned the Mishnah, and he expands. If a lender told the borrower, go buy me vegetables from the marketplace, even though the borrower should be grateful to the lender because the lender gave his money. I raise the ribbis, that's a form of ribbis. Right? Because he's, besides giving you the money back, he's also going to go buy the vegetables.
But you can't take heat change or something like that.
Right. Unless it's like two times in a chachamim, like we saw that they know it's not a ribbis case. Hashem had kosher ribbis is very difficult. Shav shela sholem ribbis. Even saying shalom aleichem was ribbis. The sholem shalom yom of the land borrower never said shalom aleichem to the lender. Right? But now that Al Shalom, now they borrowed money from him, Hikdin lo shalom, he says shalom aleichem. How are you? I raised the ribbis. That's ribbis. It's only doing it because he's borrowed money from him.
But we don't pass it like
we do.
Really? Yes.
We do. If you would have said hello to him anyway, then you're allowed to. But if you wouldn't have said hello to him anyway,
hello.
Yes. Can I get you a cup of coffee? Anybody who has money and doesn't loan them at usury, Allah concerning him, it says, it says to the pasuk in Tehillim, he didn't give his money for interest, and then it says doesn't take ribbis either, and the Moshe means on Oseil lo yomut lo'olam. Somebody does this, meaning refrains from bringing about ribbis, he won't ever stumble. Amrav Shmuel bar Imei, Shmuel says, Hamit mutazed is stumbling. Lo yinu mo yodi mao, we wouldn't know what the stumbling is. But Shlomo came and explained it. The stumbling is saving people who were condemned to death, and and those who are inclined to be killed. Somewhere in this pasuk, it says something about. It says umatim le'areg. It says they're going to stumble and going to swerve to be killed. So that mitmut is to die in a bad way. So it says somebody who doesn't loan money at ribis is not going to stumble. He's not going to stumble or sway, and that means he's not going to lead up with a violent end.
So if it's such a severe avera, why didn't they have a severe punishment? There was no violence.
Right. You know why? Because the law gives it willfully. So they were limited in what they could do.
And
this unique prohibition.
The Torah doesn't give any.
Torah, according to Rabbi Yochanan, Ribit Tzutza any Eretz B'dayanim, like the Yerushalmi Paskins. We Paskin it is. We Paskin base of camp and above. According to Yerushalmi, there's no recourse here. Okay? It's such a severe issue, but there's no recourse. This is fascinating. Okay?